This is Small Biz Florida, the podcast designed and produced specifically for Florida small business owners and entrepreneurs. Small Biz Florida, talk that works for Florida. This podcast is supported by the Florida SBDC Network, providing the tools, strategies, and expertise to help Florida's business community thrive. Visit the Florida SBDC online at www.floridasbdc.org or contact your local office and get started on your path to success today.
This is Small Biz Florida, the podcast and broadcast that's all things business across the state of Florida. I am Tom Kindred, your host for Small Biz Florida, and for those that have tuned in for any amount of time, know that the primary purpose and objective behind our Small Biz Florida podcast platform here was to provide information about assistance and resources available to small business owners during times of disaster. As everyone knows, the West Coast is recovering from Hurricane Ian. More pictures, more photographs, more stories, of course, are coming in every day of the devastating destruction. But small business owners are resilient, and there will be business again on the West Coast. And one of the primary reasons there will always be business after a disaster is because of our very good friends and partners at the SBA. And we have our very good friend and partner, Mrs. Courtney Smith, Public Affairs Specialist, with us again today on Small Biz Florida to provide us some updated information regarding assistance programs and updates on what the SBA has been up to on the West Coast. Courtney, again, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us on Small Biz Florida and share information.
It's good to be back. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you, ma'am. So I guess we'll get right into the numbers. What is happening on the West Coast in terms of SBA assistance and support? We know that BRCs, Business Recovery Centers, are up and running. Kind of tell us where we are with the number of BRCs, and have you added any new centers at this point?
Yes. So as of close of business yesterday, which was October 20th, there is over $170 million approved for disaster survivors, of course, recovering after Hurricane Ian. So, of course, that number increases every day as applications are received and applications are processed. That number continues to increase. But again, as of yesterday, we're at over 170 million. And from the first podcast to this segment, we have actually added 2 business recovery centers. And those centers, of course, are in various of the primary declared counties here in Florida. So we've gone from 5 centers to 7 centers. And then, of course, these business recovery centers, these are places where individuals can go, survivors can go and actually apply for assistance, receive that one-on-one assistance and actually have the application completed and submitted for them by a customer service representative. So 7 centers, over 170 million, and those numbers, again, are increasing. And then, of course, more centers are being added.
Okay. Great. Appreciate the update. That's incredible information. Let's break that 170 million down just a little bit. We don't have to do it, by dollars, but let's break it down. There are 3 assistance programs available. Is that correct?
Yes, there are 3 assistance programs available. Of course, you have the program for the homeowners and renters. That's going to be the home physical damage disaster loan. And then for the business owners, you have the business physical damage loan. And then also for the businesses, you have the economic injury. And so those are the 3 disaster loan programs. And again, as of yesterday, $163 million have been approved for homeowners and renters. A little over 4 million has been approved for the business owners and the business as far as the business physical disaster loans are concerned. And then economic injury, which are basically our working capital loans, a little over 2 million has been approved as of yesterday.
So obviously the biggest chunk to homeowners, but wow, I mean, those are big numbers for small business owners and operators. I think you said 4 million for the physical damage, and what did you said 2 million for the economic injury?
Over $2 million for economic injury and a little over $4 million for business.
All right. So $6 to $7 million for small business owners and operators on the West Coast.
Correct.
Courtney, I just listen. All I can say is thank you. Thank you to your team and counterparts at the SBA for that assistance. And that is incredible. Already $7 million on the streets to support and assist small business owners.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. And we are definitely working tirelessly to, of course, get the information out to encourage those individuals to visit, either the BRCs, which are business recovery centers, or the DRCs, which are disaster recovery centers, because they definitely have more than one option. But if you visit both of those centers, SBA representatives are at both of those centers.
Okay. And I guess, Courtney, at this point, $7 million on the streets for small business owners. I guess maybe, a question is, why should that business or homeowner apply for SBA assistance?
So for a multiplicity of reasons. Of course, again, during times of disaster, SBA, Office of Disaster Assistance, they are there to provide this assistance to the homeowners and the renters and the business owners and the nonprofits, of course, in the form of these low interest disaster loans. Now, SBA can help you not only build back stronger, but also smarter. So one may ask, well, how is this accomplished? How is this so? Well, this is through mitigation. So again, we know Floridians are beginning to rebuild following this disaster, but this is a good time. And this is definitely what we've been informing them of, that this is a good time to consider mitigation in their reconstruction plans. Of course, SBA funds for mitigation improvements. This is an affordable way to finance, which of course allows you to improve your resiliency. With mitigation, individuals often ask, okay, well, how much, can I receive? SBA can increase a loan by as much as 20% of their physical damages, of course, as they are verified by SBA, for mitigation purposes. We also have questions such as, okay, I know this is how much, I could possibly receive, as much as 20%, but what improvements? And so eligible mitigation improvements, they include improvements such as a safe room, a storm shelter, a sump pump, elevation, retaining walls, even landscaping to help to protect their property from future damages, caused by a similar disaster. And so again, a lot of times individuals or survivors are not aware that they can, make improvements that would prevent more damage or, the same type of damage for future disasters. So that's just one way or one perk of the program and why individuals should apply for SBA assistance. Other reasons is there's no cost to apply. It only costs you a few minutes of your time. And again, you have the option to apply online, which most individuals, they definitely prefer to do that. But if you're someone who, you say during these times, just because of this disaster, we don't have internet access, I definitely need to visit a center, where I can receive that one-on-one assistance, where someone is actually completing that application for me. They're also able to answer all of my questions. We are strongly urging and encouraging not just the business owners, but the homeowners and the renters as well to visit these centers because, again, no cost to apply, just a few minutes of your time. Also, there's no obligation to accept the loan. So in the event that you are approved, you actually have a little time. You actually have a few months to even decide if you want to accept a loan. I actually met an applicant yesterday who mentioned that, well, I'm still waiting on insurance. I don't really know how much insurance will award me. I don't really know, how long it will take for a decision to be made. Should I apply? Should I wait? And we definitely encourage the survivors, do not wait for insurance, because while you're waiting on insurance, you could have submitted an application from SBA. So you definitely want to, of course, submit those as soon as possible because they are being processed as they are being received. And so if you submit that application while SBA is processing your application and making that determination, you're still waiting on insurance. But while you're waiting, SBA can take that information, process your application. And of course, if you are awarded, you can start, immediately use those funds to begin rebuilding and repairing. And let's say 2 weeks, after you've been approved by SBA, you can literally take those funds from insurance and pay down the loan or pay off the loan. You definitely have the option to do that. Also, a lot of individuals we have discovered they're a little concerned about interest rates. And so, again, we know that those interest rates are fixed. So you don't have to worry about that changing over the life of the loan. Of course, the terms, 30-year repayment terms, which is great news, for survivors during this time. Also, another great advantage is there is a 5-month deferment. So your first payment is not even due until the fifth month after the date of the signed promissory note. So when whatever date, you signed that promissory note, your first payment is not even due until 5 months later. And so, of course, individuals, and some of them already have, previous SBA loans. So this is great news for them. Also, if loans are $25,000 or less, there is no collateral needed, no collateral required. Collateral is only required if the loans are above $25,000. Again, mentioning or going back to the insurance, let's say, again, you've approved for SBA loan, you begin to use the funds, insurance, insurance comes through maybe 3 weeks later, and you say, you know what, I want to pay off the $50,000 that I was awarded by SBA. You can do that. There is no prepayment penalty. No prepayment penalty whatsoever. So if you have those insurance funds and you want to use it to pay down or pay off the loan, you can do that, and you don't have to worry about being penalized for making those payments early. The only thing that SBA will not do concerning insurance is there will be no duplication of benefits. Meaning, let's say your property, of course, you suffer $250,000 in damages. The insurance awards you $200,000. Then SBA can only consider you for that remaining $50,000 because that's the amount that is needed to make you whole. Okay. And so again, that's pretty much how that works with insurance. But, these loans are for the underinsured as well as the uninsured. So if you didn't have insurance, apply. If you did have insurance, apply. And so this is just, awesome program for these disaster survivors in times of disasters. And those are just a few of the perks of the program.
Right. So let's see. I was taking some quick notes. So, which I didn't realize, which is a great point. So basically, what you're saying is, if the damage to my building, was $50,000, I can borrow 50 plus 20% of 50 to make improvements once I do make the repairs to the building. Did I get that right?
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct. So, for example, about $45 a month will pay for a $10,000 mitigation project.
Wow. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, there's no fees to apply. It's simply application. If you do receive some insurance money, there's no prepayment penalties. You could immediately take the insurance and begin to repay the loan or pay the loan off.
That's correct.
As you mentioned, all SBA loans usually have very good terms, but in this situation, I think, did you say it's a 30-year amortization on the loan, or did you
up to 30-year repayment terms?
Okay, up to 30 years repayment terms.
Mm-hmm.
So good, reasonable terms.
Correct.
There's a 5-month deferment on payments.
Right.
And if the loan is $25,000 or less, there's no collateral. And that and your interest rate, which again is concerning today with interest rates rising, but this is once you get this loan, it is a fixed interest rate. This is not an adjustable rate.
That is correct. And for the businesses, that rate is as low as 3.04%, just to reiterate. For the nonprofit organizations, 1.875%. And then for the homeowners and renters, that interest rate is 2.188%.
All right.
And this is
Courtney, again, I think you made a great case for why folks should take advantage of this. We obviously would never advise a business to take on debt if it's not necessary. But I think in times of disaster, you're trying to rebuild, you're trying to get reopened. You need access to cash to get these repairs made. I think this obviously is the safest, most reasonable way to go access that capital to get those repairs made and get the business reopened. And again, if insurance, once you do receive your insurance, then you can actually you could pay the loan down, pay it off.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So what are you hearing from the area, Courtney? What are you hearing from those hard hit counties, Lee, Charlotte? You've actually got SBA customer service representatives on the street in these BRCs. They're able to service the the volume of requests there, there's no lines at these BRCs. I mean, what are you hearing in terms of logistically helping and servicing the folks?
Well, of course, because so many people have been impacted, and especially some of the hardest hit counties, and Lee County being one of those counties. And of course, the centers are open. Most of the centers are open 7 days a week. And so, that's great for the individuals who, of course, still have to go to work. And maybe they're only available, they're only able to visit a center, on the weekend. So in those hardest hit counties, then of course, there may be a line. But the great thing about that is for the physical damage disaster deadline, as of now, it is November 28th. So you still have time. And that's actually what I experienced yesterday after speaking with an applicant. They visited a center in Lee County. And of course, they said, Ms. Smith, the line was so long. And I just decided to come back. But, they didn't know at the time that the centers would be open on the weekends. And so, of course, I just, of course, reminded them that, hey, if you're not able to visit through the week, or you're coming during your lunch break, or, a lot of people, they lost their cars. So they're having to borrow, or figure out a way to, get to the centers. Then, of course, that weekend, you visiting the center on the weekend may be a better option for you. But again, we have currently 7 centers. They are in Collier County, Hardy County, Hillsborough County, Lee County, and Sarasota County. So again, individuals have and Seminole County. So individuals, they have quite a few options. And I know in Lee County, which is one of the hardest hit counties, we actually have 2 business recovery centers. So again, right now it's just, the long lines and individuals. The greatest concern here is transportation, them not having a means of getting to the centers. But, of course, those centers are not going anywhere anytime soon. And again, they're open 7 days a week, and some are open, 8, 9, 10 hours.
Okay. How does one go online and find out some more about all that we've talked about today?
So they can actually visit disasterloanassistance.sba.gov. That's also an option to apply. Because again, we have several individuals who, say, well, I've been through this before. I actually already have an SBA loan. Can I just, I don't really want to have to go to a center. Is that my only option? No, that is not your only option. You can actually go online. And then also, because FEMA establishes centers as well as SBA, their centers are referred to as disaster recovery centers, or DRCs. Our centers established by the SBA, those are referred to as business recovery centers. So you could actually go to FEMA's website and find out where all of the disaster recovery centers are located. Because again, there are SBA representatives also present at those disaster recovery centers. Or you can go to SBA's website, also SBA.gov, and of course, search for the disaster. And then, of course, there's a locator tool. And then, of course, it will provide you those locations in the various counties.
Okay. All right. And give me that website one more time, the Disaster Loan Assistance.
Right. So disasterloanassistance.sba.gov.
All right.
And again, that is one of the ways that you can apply for the SBA assistance.
Well, and I'm glad you cleared that up too. So that makes sense to me. DRCs are the FEMA centers, BRCs are the SBA centers, but there are SBA representatives embedded and deployed at the DRCs. So you've got multiple DRCs, you've got multiple BRCs, and you can apply online.
That's correct. And I do believe, as far as the DRCs are concerned, there's around, I think, 15 of the DRCs, so a few more DRCs. But yeah, the BRCs, you're going to have SBA representatives only at the BRCs, because those are established by the SBA.
All right. And of course, I think it's worth noting that the Florida SBDC, Small Business Development Center, there are 3 what we call MAC units, MACs, mobile assistance centers. There are 3 of those deployed throughout the disaster area, and I think those are kind of on the move sometimes to respond to areas that where there's some volume of folks needing assistance. So those are on the move, but those are also in the area, and hard to miss those MAC units. They big SBDC logos on the side of those motorhomes. So you can always find one of those, and you can go to the FloridaSBDC.org site, and there's a banner there of disaster. You can click on that and get information there too about the loans and about the location of the BRCs and the MACs. So Courtney, again, just thank goodness for the SBA. Really appreciative of all that the SBA is doing in times of disaster, and certainly right now following Ian.
Yes, and we're so glad that we can be here to help in their road to just recovery. So.
Yep. And listen, again, as I've said before, I thank you for sharing the information with us, sharing your time here on Small Biz Florida. As you know, we've talked, the whole purpose behind developing this platform was to ensure that we had a way to quickly get information in times of disaster to small business owners. So we appreciate you using and leveraging this platform.
And again, thank you guys for having us and just helping us to disseminate this information in all of the counties affected by the storm.
All right. It is our very good friend and partner, Courtney Smith, with the SBA, updates on what is occurring on the ground on the West Coast following Hurricane Ian in terms of business assistance and resources to help our small business owners and operators get back to biz. So thank you, Courtney.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So with that, we'll bring to close this update segment regarding Hurricane Ian assistance. Stay tuned. We're gonna stay in touch with the SBA, stay in touch with our folks at the SBDC, and we will continue to provide you current and updated information about all that is available to assist the small business community in those areas affected by Hurricane Ian. This is Small Biz Florida.
This has been Small Biz Florida, created and produced by the Florida Small Business Development Center at Indian River State College. Your host for Small Biz Florida is Tom Kindred. Partners for Small Biz Florida include WPSL and WSTU and Indian River State College, named the 2019 winner of the Aspen Prize for Community College Excellence.